What's one of the best ways to reach people in 2022? Podcasting. And I know that's a little ironic to say here over on my YouTube channel. However, the point remains. Podcasting is a great way to reach people, especially as they're on the go, whether they be working out or on a long drive. Podcasting is an effective medium. And a good podcasting website can really help when it comes to extending the life of each episode that you release. Here are my top 5 must-haves when it comes to a podcasting website. Hey friends, I'm Davey of Davey and Krista, where we help businesses build brands and websites that reach more people, generate more leads, and ultimately grow their business. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss any future videos. And if you have a question, just leave it in the comment below. We will get back to you. Let's talk podcasting websites. First things first, the hardest thing about starting a podcast is the initial technical setup. Once you get past that, it actually becomes fairly easy to do. And it's never been easier to launch a podcast either. And as I said, if you have a question about starting a podcast, ask those in the comments below. We'll link to resources for you, and we might create future videos around this topic. First things first, you got to decide where you want to build your podcasting website. Oftentimes, you can build your website with your podcast host. So for instance, we host our podcast with Fireside.fm. This is the tool that we use to make sure that our podcast actually gets to places like iTunes and Spotify and other places where you can listen to podcasts. Oftentimes, websites like that are going to give you an option to create a podcast website right there in that tool. The downside, and one of the reasons that we don't use that tool in order to build our website, is because often there's not a lot of customization options. However, it does make it really easy to get your website up and running without any significant additional investment. Another option is to use a platform like Showit or WordPress, and that's what we do. Our podcasting website is actually a page over on our website at daveyandkrista.com, and I'll link to that below. If you're looking for a lot of customization options, but you also want to keep things relatively simple, check out a platform like Showit. You're going to have a lot of design flexibility, but at the same time, it's going to be easy to use. And Showit also has podcasting templates already available, like the one that we have in our shop over at daveyandkrista.com/shop. So you don't have to start from scratch when it comes to creating your podcasting website. After you've decided whether you wanted to use a tool like a podcast host like Fireside.fm, or you want to go with a more modern website builder like Showit or WordPress, here are the 5 things that I think every podcast website should have. First things first, and I know it's super simple, but a working search bar. When I come across a podcast that I really like, I typically want to find other episodes that are related to what I'm interested in. You'd be surprised at how many podcasting websites out there don't have something as simple as a working search bar. Make it easy for people to find the content that they're looking for on your website. And bonus points if you organize your podcast by different playlists on your website, or at least by categories and topics. You might not feel like this is a super important feature when you first launch, but trust me, with a little consistency, you're going to have plenty of podcast episodes for people to sort through shortly. Second, a prominent place where people can play the most recent episode. Podcast players are a dime a dozen. There are a ton of options out there. However, the very best option that we found is a tool called Fusebox. And of course, I'll include a link to it in the description below. It's feature rich and allows for a lot of customization so that you can make sure that it matches your website. With something like Fusebox, you'll be able to link to specific tracks. You'll be able to customize the player so that if you want, people can download the episode straight from the podcast player, or you can have it so that people can sort through a lot of different episodes and choose the one that they want to play. One of the coolest parts about it is that you can even set up a call to action. So if you want people to join your email list, we'll talk about why that's important in a minute. You can include a call to action to join your email list straight from the podcast player. Fusebox is actually platform agnostic now, which means that it works with a lot of different website platforms. Third, if you're going to want to monetize your platform, you'll likely want a page for sponsors or the tools that you recommend through something like affiliate deals. Something else that you'll want, especially if you're trying to get sponsors for your podcast, is an email list. If you have a vibrant email list, it's going to be a lot easier to convince sponsors to sponsor your show. And this is another reason why you might decide to build your podcasting website using a tool like Showit or WordPress, because you're going to have access to more list building tools that you can use for your lead generation efforts. If you're interested in getting started with lead generation on your podcasting website, check out some of the other videos in our channel. We have videos on everything from embedding forms to getting started with your first lead generation campaign. Fourth, you'll want to make sure that you link straight from your website to popular podcasting platforms like iTunes and Spotify. While it's great that people visit your podcasting website, you certainly want people to do so. It's much more likely that they'll listen on a consistent basis if they're subscribed in a place like iTunes, where each week or each day, whenever you release a new podcast episode, those episodes will automatically download to your account. And this is super important, especially when you're first getting started. Make sure it's easy for people to leave reviews. Podcasts gain traction when people leave reviews, and typically the best place for people to leave a review on a podcast is in iTunes. And you can link straight to iTunes for people to be able to do that. We always like to include a few reviews on the website itself. So we'll usually grab a couple of the reviews from iTunes, or we'll reach out to some of our listeners and ask them for reviews of the show. And that way you have some nice social proof around your show, and it indicates to others that your podcast is worth listening to. You can, of course, call people to leave reviews wherever you would like them to leave reviews. However, we've found that it's most useful to link straight to iTunes. If you're interested in a podcasting template to get started, head on over to daveyandkrista.com/shop, where you can find a podcasting template that you can get started with. Have more podcasting questions? Drop them in the comments below. We'll get back to you. Like I said, podcasting has never been easier, and it's such an effective channel to reach people. If you can get over a little bit of technical setup, it becomes really easy to release content. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss anything in the future, and we'll see you soon. Peace.